Hello everybody, welcome to Fit 4 Nights. Today I'm changing out the batteries in the RV. I say today, okay, I'm pulling the old batteries out, loading them up in the Jeep, taking them down, swapping them out for the new ones. Hopefully I have time to install the new ones. I may have to replace a couple of lines. These batteries are 4 or 5-ish years old, so they've lasted a long time despite I haven't been real diligent about maintaining them like I should because of their location. They're difficult to get to, but they've lasted 5 years, which is good. But I had to replace a battery cable the other day because it was corroded and wasn't making a good connection. My fault. Like I said, you know, if we were keeping this RV much longer, I would look for a new solution as far as accessing the batteries, because they're just a pain to get to. And you know, the older we get, the quicker time goes by. You know, you start thinking, well, you know, I just looked at them last week. Well, no, actually that was 6 months ago. It happens all the time. Maybe not to you, but to me it does. Maybe a whiteboard on the garage door wall, you know, your garage wall, checking things off. I probably should do something like that, but they lasted 4 or 5 years, so I wasn't that negligent. I admittedly I was negligent with them, but not that negligent. So we'll get those swapped out. That's just one of the RV projects. Every now and then, you know, these RV projects start, you know, you got to start taking care of them, and you either take care of them one at a time or you let them stack up because you're too busy with, I don't know, life. So unfortunately, this time I got a few of them stacked up, so I got to take care of them. I usually try to take care of them one at a time, but I'm rambling now, ain't I? So I'm going to get to work. Like I said, these things are just a pain to get to. These big old screws there in the corner, you can't hardly get a screwdriver on them. I mean, I can get a tall one on this one here, but this one down here, you know, it's not all the way screwed in. So I just had this off the other day looking at them, and we haven't gone anywhere yet. But this one here, I can't get a long screwdriver on because the door's in the way, so I got to get a little stubby one down here in the corner, and my big old fat fingers, and this one over here is a little bit easier to get a bite on, and so is this one. But those big old screws are just, they're a pain to get out. Well, there you go. You can see there's some corrosion and stuff built up on these things. Really not too awful bad. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to get out my cell phone and take a picture of this mess. Let's see if I can get turned around so the lighting's better. I'm on to get out my cell phone, take a picture of this mess before I yank it all apart, because you know I'm not going to remember where these wires go once I get it all yanked out. So, of course, one of the first things I want to do is disconnect the battery, the power from the, or kill the power from the inverter and all that stuff. Pull the plug on the RV, make sure I'm not going to have a shocking situation, I suppose. Yeah, I'll get these taken out. It looks like it might take a few minutes. Okay, so after much deliberation, okay, it took me about 2 minutes, I decided a photograph just wasn't quite enough, and it's a good thing. I decided to grab a piece of paper and just map out where all the positive, negative cables, all the cables are going to which terminal and all that stuff. And it's a good thing I did, because you've got 3 batteries here: negative terminal, negative terminal, negative terminal. And then this last one is the positive terminal, is right here. So this last battery is flipped the other direction. I would not have noticed that if I'd just taken a photograph. So it's a good thing I decided to map it all out on a piece of paper, because I would have ended up putting that battery in the same direction as the other 3 and then wired something up backwards, without a doubt, and then been stuck here wanting to cry because I couldn't figure out what went wrong. Which, when it comes to electrical things, that's a common situation for me. So yeah, good thing I drew that map. Now I'm going to get these bad boys out of here. Alright, well, that project's done. I got the coach running. Because the batteries were dead, essentially. It was actually drawing off of the chassis battery for the motor. So when we'd be sitting here at the house, not, just plugged up to shore power, it would actually drain that chassis battery. So now that I got all the batteries, the house batteries hooked back in, got the main battery, the chassis battery hooked back on, I fire it up just to let it run for a little bit to recharge that chassis battery. Now, for the astute viewer, you would notice that one of the battery cables was a smaller gauge than the rest of them, and that was because I had to replace that cable while we were out and about. And that's all AutoZone or O'Reilly's carries, is those smaller automotive battery cables. I did order a couple of replacement cables, the larger gauge. Unfortunately, I used those to replace a couple other cables that just looked a little bit too close to being gone for my comfort. So I get done with this, wrapping this up, I'm gonna go order another cable to replace that one cable. Neither one of the cables that I had anyway were long enough. I need 20 inches, give or take. So I gotta order one anyway. I'm not gonna put the entry steps back together because they're a pain in the rear to get undone. And it's probably, and if I was to put them back together, they would be loosely put back together, and that's kind of unsafe. So I'm just going to leave it apart. That way it's a visual cue. Don't step here, you'll fall down. Anyway, that project is just like 2 bolts away from being totally complete, but it's complete enough where I've got juice to the house now and fully expect to have juice going down the highway. This is great. One project down, I got another one to go. And now it's time for project number 2. I put the windsock on the mic, so hopefully you can hear me. Can't see me, that's for sure. Project number 2 is this baggage door. So this is the second time this has happened for us. This little piece here, the latch piece, it's made out of plastic. It broke. This is one of our most used bay doors. It's where the toolbox is. So I had to order a new latch. I actually got 2 of them this time because this is the second one that's gone out or broke, so makes sense to have another spare on hand. It's really a pretty simple process. You know, first thing you do is you pull the cover off of that, and then this plastic, this white plastic here, it's held on. You know, it depends on the manufacturer, but with Fleetwood, it's held on with a thin line of glue. It takes nothing more than a painter's chisel or even a body or a body trim tool just to pry that off of there, pry it away. And oh, you gotta chisel these rivets off of there. And I've got some bolts and screws I'm going to use in its place instead of rivets. It's pretty simple, quick, easy process. You just pop this out of there, put the new one in, put the linkage back on both ends, and you're good to go. Okay, that took all of about 2 minutes, but you can see once you peel this stuff back, it's all right there. So it really is a simple process. I may have to pull some of this styrofoam out so I can get my finger on a nut to screw the bolt in, but I mean, other than that, I mean, this is a breeze. You pop this off and you turn it so that you can just pull it out of there. Of course, can't do it with one hand, but and then you make your adjustments by screwing it in or out, whatever. Yeah, pretty simple. Okay, I did end up unscrewing this latch off its little piece just so I could get that piece out of there. Couldn't quite finagle it, but that's not a big deal. What I'll do is when I put it on the new one, I'll just take a look at the latch on that other bay door and kind of get an idea of how far it's sticking out there, and then adjust it to that, and then we'll close it. And here's the here's the problem though, is if you have it out too long, then you can't get the door open because it still wants to latch on to the latch. So what I do, I've got an Allen key, a short Allen key that you can stick in. You can stick it in here in between the seam and kind of work that latch back. Put some blue tape on the other baggage door, that way you don't mar it up. That's actually how I got it open when this latch broke, because both times when the latches broke, they wouldn't retract, so they were actually still holding the door shut. So I had to use that Allen key method to, pop that latch away from here. So yeah, I did end up pulling some of that styrofoam, cutting some of that styrofoam out so I could get my finger down there to hold that bolt or that nut. So The nuts and bolts that I got were really too long, but ain't gonna hurt anything. Just means I have to turn the screwdriver once or twice more. Okay, something to pay attention to when you're putting this thing back together. If you forgot where you put the if you got where you put this rod, keep in mind this is the lever that operates. This is the latch that you operate right here. This mechanism pulls this down. So if you were to put it in this hole over here, it wouldn't be able to pull it down far enough to disengage the latch. So if you just, you can hook it up real quick and just reach over and check to make sure everything is operational before you even screw it all in. I mean, you don't want to get it all put together and then realize, oh, ruh-roh. Hey, quick pro tip. When you get this put in, don't close the door quite yet to test the latch, because guess what holds this rod on? This backing plate. When you slam the door, this rod pops off. I'd forgotten about that. So, yeah. Put the backing plate on before you go to slam the door shut. And really, this thing is almost self-adjustable. I had to turn it like one turn to get the latch where I wanted it to be, but I did that before I shut it. So, you know, you can get it by sight, and as long as when you pull that latch, when you pull that outside latch and this thing pulls all the way back, you're good to go. Don't overthink it like I just did. And definitely don't shut the bay door before you put that backing plate back on it. Oh, but if you do, this little trim tool right here does wonders. It actually works a lot better than an Allen key. Okay, the moment of truth. I got the backing plate back on, so we're just gonna slam that door shut. See if it opens. And there you have it. The door opens and it stays shut. Awesome. So I will grab me some glue, some sealant of some sort, glue this back, and I'll get a couple of clamps just to hold it in place until it gets good and cured. So there we go. Let's see here. Light. Hi there. How you doing? That's my 2 RV projects, my motorhome projects for the day. Replace the batteries. It really wasn't too awful bad. I mean, I went back with regular lead acid batteries. I wanted to go with maintenance free, but I think most of you know that we're going to be buying a new motorhome sometime in the near future. I know within the next 4 years we're going to have a new motorhome. So you know, the maintenance free is expensive. It's almost twice as much, I think, if I remember right. It's been a while since I've researched it. So I'll go ahead and get the regular flooded batteries and just remind myself to go in and maintain them. Hopefully they'll last longer than 4 or 5 years, so the next owner won't have any issues out of them. So that's done. I do need to, well, it's not done, sorry. I do need to get another cable, 1 gauge cable finish that out. But it is all hooked up right now. It's functional. Everything works great. It's taking a charge. So life is good there on the battery front. On the baggage door, you know, I kept saying this is simple, and for, you know, somebody, I went and bought something somewhere, and somebody said, you know, you RVers are just, most of you are just mechanically inclined. You really don't need help with installing whatever it was I bought. And it's true. Most of us campers, we are mechanically inclined, but not all of us. And so, you know, me saying it's simple, yeah, it's simple to me. It's simple to a lot of you, but there's a lot of folks out there that it's not simple for, which is how, you know, the RV dealerships make a lot of money doing maintenance and repairs on motorhomes and campers, is because there are a lot of folks that just aren't mechanically inclined. So hopefully this helps. If you're one of those that's not mechanically inclined, hopefully this helps out a little bit. It's something anybody can do, really. But and you know, we can complain about the quality, you know, the plastic latch, and you know how everything goes together, how that latch pin is held in there by the backing plate. Kind of silly. There should be a cotter pin, or you know, a E-clip, C-clip, or something there holding that on. And if I was a little bit more energetic, I could have done something to do that. But that backing plate works. It holds it in place. So, and we can complain about all that, but you know, that's what we got. So instead of spending our time complaining about it, just fix it, move on with life, go camping. That's why we got these things. Anyway, I hope some of this helped. I'm sorry I didn't have my lovely assistant with me to record me doing everything. We didn't have our projects aligned this weekend, so she's doing another project in the house. It is what it is. We'll catch y'all down the trail.